In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the similarities and differences between the Simplicity Regent with a 42-inch deck and the Snapper SPX with a 42-inch deck. For anybody that's unaware, both of these brands, Simplicity and Snapper, are both owned by Briggs & Stratton. Now, both of these tractors come with the Briggs & Stratton PXI 2300 23 horsepower V-twin. Both of them have the Tough Torque K46 transaxle. They both have cast iron front axles. They both have LED headlights. They both have the same placement of the controls on the dash. They have the same tire size, although the Simplicity has some better tires on it than the Snapper, and both of them have fabricated mower decks. Now we'll get into some of the things that are a little bit different between the two of them. We'll start here with the dashboard on a Simplicity Regent. You can see here it's your standard Simplicity Regent dashboard. The thing I do want to point out here is on the left, it has the switch to raise and lower the mower deck cutting height electronically. Now, on the Snapper SPX dash, you can see that it does not have that switch, and you notice the big inlay right there in the center of the dash. This is actually a nice little compartment if you want to lay your cell phone or something like that in there while you're mowing. We'll stick with the operator comforts here, and you can see that both these tractors have different seats on them. The Simplicity uses your standard style tractor seat where it's the plastic frame and then the foam pad glued to that plastic frame. The Snapper uses that same plastic frame but has a cut and sewn overlaid cushion on that plastic frame, which is going to be a lot more durable, and as you can see here in the pictures, it really is an eye catcher. Both of these tractors have the exact same gas tank, and the fill is on the back left fender. And right in front of that gas tank fill, you will find a little compartment where you can store your keys or your phone, and has a little cup holder in there. That is the same on both tractors. It's the same fenders, has the same sight window in there for your fuel tank on both tractors. Where you get the difference in the fenders, though, is on the right side. On the Snapper, you have an index for your different cutting heights, and on the Simplicity, as we mentioned, use that electronic lift. You have the button on the dash to raise and lower the cutting height. Now, it looks the same on the Regent because you have that same black plastic trim around that same handle, but there's not the different increments on there because this is just either all the way down or all the way up. This is what they would call transport mode on the Simplicity Regent. It just raises the mower deck up to the highest possible height. Okay, now we're going to get into the mower decks, and this is where you're going to see a lot of difference here. We'll start out with the one on the Snapper. Now, both of the mower decks are fabricated mower decks. They both have the same opening. They use the same blades, spindles, and all that good stuff. But the one on the Snapper is a little bit more of a conventional style mower deck, where it has the 4-gauge wheels, one on each corner, and it's pretty simple to take on and off. You have this arm right here that you can stick a ratchet into, and you can use that ratchet to get leverage to loosen up the belt, remove it from the PTO clutch, and then you take the pins out of the arms in the back here with the mower deck down on the lowest setting, of course, so that way your mower deck's on the ground. Pull those pins out, and then you can push the mower deck front, and it will release from the front hanger. You can also take that front hanger off if you really need to eliminate everything under there, say you're putting a snowplow on or something. But if you're just going to be servicing the deck, you can leave that front hanger hanging on there, slide the mower deck out, and do whatever you got to do. Now, one more thing to note about the fabricated mower deck on the Snapper SPX. You can see here that you get pretty decent ground clearance of this mower deck when it is raised up the entire way. This is something you need to really pay attention to, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. So now we'll move on to the 42-inch deck on the Regent tractor, and as we mentioned, it has the same opening, uses the same blades, belts, pulleys, all that stuff that the 42-inch deck on the Snapper SPX uses. But you move over to the left side, and you're going to notice right away that this mower deck on the Regent has that long flat area on the left side. And normally you're used to seeing a rounded mower deck on these tractors. And you might think, oh, okay, well, this is squared off to help give it better airflow or, to improve the cutting performance in some way. But when you look underneath, it's actually baffled the same way. And if it wasn't for that being squared off on the outside, the mower deck would look very similar to the one on the Snapper SPX. Now, if you remember, I pointed out that electric height adjustment switch on the dash of the Simplicity Regent earlier. And here's where that comes into effect. You have an electric motor down here on the mower deck, and there's a lot of stuff going on here in this mower deck. That electric motor will move a couple of these arms, which raise and lowers these rollers on the back of the mower deck, and that is what actually sets your height of cut. Those mowers will be on the ground all the time while you're mowing. And if you ever hear anybody talk about, oh, the quality of cut from a Simplicity, nothing can match it. Really, what they're referring to is the stripes that are being put down because these rollers are rolling the grass down in the direction you're going. Now, like I said earlier, there's a whole lot of stuff going on here on this Simplicity mower deck, but underneath all these extra components and hardware and pieces and parts and all that stuff, there is still that same arm that you will find on the Snapper SPX mower deck where you can stick a ratchet in there and you can use that to get your extra leverage to remove your mower deck belt, and then you come to the back and you don't have the linkages like you had for the Snapper tractor to raise and lower the mower deck. You just have cables here on the Simplicity because remember, you're just going from all the way down or all the way up, and it's the roller that will set your height in between. So you're going to remove those cables, and then you come to the front part, which is a little bit different than what you're used to seeing on most mower decks. Now, if you're not familiar with the Simplicity mower deck setup, you might look at this and say, okay, we just got to take those two bolts out there at the front of those ears on the mower deck, but that's not how this comes apart in the front. It's actually that black bracket there is part of the mower deck system, and there's a rod on the front of it to release that bracket, and then it drops down with the front of the mower deck, and you slide the entire thing out from underneath the tractor. Now, I mentioned the ground clearance on the mower deck on the SPX from the Snapper, and it has a decent amount of clearance between the bottom of the mower deck to the ground, and from the bottom of the gauge wheels to the ground, we have the mower deck latched the whole way up. This is all the clearance you get on a Simplicity Regent. This is with the mower deck latched the whole way up in transport mode, and with that roller raised the entire way up. So here you can get a little bit better idea from the side. The Simplicity rollers on the Regent compared to the gauge wheels on the Snapper SPX. Huge difference there. So why the rollers on the Simplicity mower deck? Well, this is what they call a free-floating mower deck. And the idea here is that with the mower riding on those rollers, then it can move independently of the tractor frame, which is riding on the front and rear tires. So to give you a better idea, watch this as I push on this mower deck on the Simplicity Regent. You can see how the mower deck moves all around. And this is the difference between a free-floating mower deck and then you have the frame mount mower deck on the Snapper SPX. You can see here when I push on that mower deck, the entire tractor is trying to move, whereas on the Simplicity, it was just the mower deck floating around underneath the tractor when I pushed on it. So those are the major differences between the Simplicity Regent with the 42-inch fabricated mower deck and the Snapper SPX with the 42-inch fabricated mower deck. And obviously, you're seeing here, I didn't point it out, but the Snapper does come with that red tube-style bumper. The Simplicity does not come with the tube-style bumper. The whole point of this was to show you, hey, you might be a Simplicity fan, you might be a Snapper fan. Everything is really scarce this year. So if you can't find one, you can find the other, and you're going to be getting basically the same tractor. I mean, both made by Briggs and Stratton. They both have the Briggs engine in there. They both have a tough torque transmission. Both 42-inch fabricated mower decks with the same blades, belts, all that good stuff. Again, the Simplicity does have the better tires. The Snapper, I believe, has the better seat. Same price for both of these models. If I had to pick one, I'm probably going with the Snapper because I like that seat. I like that mower deck compared to the one on the Simplicity because that roller system, it bugs me. Yeah, if you try to use this tractor for anything other than mowing, you're going to have that roller system clanging around and banging. And it's expensive to replace those rollers on there. They are going to wear out. We've seen that whole system get bent up. Somebody snags it on a tree root or something like that. Where the 4 gauge wheels on that fabricated deck on the Snapper, it's pretty cheap compared to that roller system on the Simplicity to replace those gauge wheels on there once they do wear down. So overall, I mean, for the cost and what you get, I think you get a little bit better machine or just some better features that I would prefer on the snapper compared to the simplicity. So again, that's just my take on it. That's the one I would go with. But again, the whole point of this was just to show you that if you're looking for a simplicity and you can't find one this year, you can go with a snapper and you're going to get pretty close to the same machine. If you're looking for the snapper, you can't find one, you can go with the simplicity. If you can find one, you're getting pretty close to the same machine. So that's going to do it for this video here. If you got any questions or feel like leaving some comments, please do. We love to hear your feedback. And make sure to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.